There's a warning today that thousands of cases of Lyme disease could be going undiagnosed. Spread through bites of small ticks, its symptoms can be mild at first, but the long-term effects can be devastating. The National Institute of Health and Care Excellence says that the 3,000 reported cases of the condition is likely to be an underestimate. For many people, it's the failure to quickly diagnose Lyme disease which can lead to severe medical consequences. Doctors incorrectly thought Andrew McGuinness's symptoms were the result of a stroke, brain tumour and multiple sclerosis before correctly putting them down to Lyme disease. Well, Andrew has since written a book based on his experience and joins us from our central London studio. Really appreciate you talking to us, Andrew. It seems like the main problem with Lyme disease is that it's quite easy to mistake it for something else.
It is. I was initially misdiagnosed with an insect bite with cellulitis, which then developed into more severe symptoms. I was diagnosed with a migraine, then I was diagnosed with a stroke, and then another stroke, and then a possible brain tumour, and then they settled on multiple sclerosis. So these are all life-changing conditions, but actually what it boiled down to was Lyme disease, which was eventually diagnosed, but it took a number of years. So the life-changing condition is really Lyme disease.
How did it affect your life?
I had 2 jobs at lecturing posts in creative writing, and I had to let those go. I was seriously ill. I thought I was going to die, actually, to be honest. I even wrote letters to my loved ones. It was that severe and chronic. I thought my life was over, but it wasn't. I came back. I got treated. I made a substantial recovery, though not complete. But really, and I'm here today really to talk about the problems with diagnosing, because the problem is if you don't diagnose soon enough, the condition worsens and is harder to treat. So the so-called chronic Lyme is the chronic problem, which is not being faced up to yet. So I think the problem is with undiagnosis and underestimation of the cases of Lyme is because of misdiagnosis, mainly because the blood testing is inaccurate. It's not as rare a case contracted as people first thought, Lyme disease, and also it's not easily treated if not caught soon enough.
And just tell us, what can't you do now that you could do before you contracted the disease?
Well, I wrote this book, Anatomized, because one of the first things I noticed, because the infection went to my brain, was that I was losing the ability to read and write. So that was my living, that was my passion. And I was really had to abandon that for 2 to 3 years. Part of my recovery was writing this book, Anatomized, which is all about the problems diagnosing Lyme disease. So that was the main thing that I lost, which I've since recovered substantially. But I suffer with fatigue, varying degrees of that. But also, worse than that, I suppose, is neuropathic pain that was caused because of the infection in my brain. So I'm on very strong anti-seizure medication purely for the pain.
And Andrew, why do you think there are so many problems with diagnosing the disease?
I think it's because because the infection can mimic so many other conditions, hence that long row of incorrect diagnoses for me. It's happening to many thousands of people up and down the UK and in America, right across Europe, is that it's very hard to pin down. So the medical professionals who are not specialised in more than one specialism don't see it as an early differential diagnosis. So they will go for the first thing that it could be, statistically, and Lyme disease is right at the bottom normally, by which time the poor patient has suffered immense pain and also frustration. They don't know where to go. After they've seen 1 or 2 doctors, they're not quite sure, who do I see now? There isn't a specialist in Lyme disease working within the NHS who has experience in all of the different medical fields associated with Lyme disease. So I think that's the key problem that needs addressing.
OK, Andrew McGuinness, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, how much